I am the Doctor, this is my section. Earth is under my protection. Planet of birth is Gallifrey. I've got two hearts, your life is saved. Run into the Master Raw Missy. Come on, Alonzo. Alonzi. I am a Time Lord. No, I'm not rich. 12 bodies a man. Now it's time for a switch. Don't look like that. I'm in great health. You were expecting someone else? Regeneration. Oh, such fun. When I say run, run, run. What's up, my boy? Peace and sanity. Sorry, mustache. Reverse the polarity. Sometimes I'm north, but always a limey, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Jump in the TARDIS, go for a ride. It's bigger on the inside. Exploring all of time and space. Oh, what's that? Exterminate.
Cybermen or Daleks, maybe.
Would you like a jelly baby? Time's ticking, we'd best go. A new adventure, Geronimo. I am fantastic, so are you. Best come with me. I'm Doctor Who.
Welcome to a brand new episode of D4WH. Woohoo! I am your host, Burn With Me. I'm Adam O'Sullivan, joined as always by my co-host, I want you to burn for me, baby.
That would be wonderful.
It's Nicchia. How are you?
I'm good. Do I have to set myself on fire or can I just get a fever?
Sure. Is that how you protest like those Tibetan monks?
Yeah. I do set myself on fire, even for just the silliest things, really. Yes. When I didn't get the right sandwich order, set myself on fire.
You're really hoping to get on a Rage Against the Machine cover.
Yeah, I am.
Cover, yeah.
I'm also committed to just being angry. So
yeah. One of the funniest things about the lockdown is just how many conservatives have suddenly realized how anti-establishment Rage Against the Machine are. They're like, what? This isn't the machine I was told we were going to rage against.
I don't like this.
Please welcome our guest, Burn Baby Burn, Disco Inferno. It's writer and producer Christian Hegg. Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Hello. I appreciate the nice little disco reference. That's I've had that on repeat. Quite a bit.
You're a bit of a disco fiend, are you there?
I am. It's funny. I'm a big nerd. Actually, I do a lot of some cosplay on the side, and I actually did a disco Boba Fett at one point. So having that stuff on repeat, yes, I'll have to share that at some point. But anyways, yes, happy to be here. Thank you so
one of
much
my
for
favorite
having
quotes
me.
from The Simpsons is Disco Stew, where he goes, "Move away, not today, disco lady."
Disco lady.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I get you.
One of the references from disco that I always love is there was a show, I don't know if you've seen The Goodies, a UK show, used to be on in the afternoons when I was growing up, and they would always do I think they were drunk when they were putting the show together. It was just nuts.
That checks out. Yeah, that checks out. I'm sure Monty Python was all written drunk.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. It was a lot ruder than any of us knew until we grew up and watched it and went, oh, God, that's rude.
I'm pretty sure that every American sitcom in United States has been written while people are drunk. So that's saying something.
That's probably it. But one of the characters fell in love with Olivia Newton-John at some point.
Oh,
well, I mean, back then she was. I mean, still now she's stunning.
Oh, yeah, she's hot as.
Yeah.
But he fell in love with her, and he was a really what I would call a dapper, a dandy sort of guy. Yes, and he'd be wearing the white suit, walking down the street, going. You can tell by the way I use my walk, I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. And he was so not a woman's man.
I hope the attraction was something beyond physical, as it were.
Let's get physical.
But by the end of the episode, they ended up in Xanadu.
Oh, God, I hated that.
It's funny. I actually, with Xanadu, I was joking when watched the original movie. I was like, they're going to make a musical of this. And then years later, they did a Broadway musical of Xanadu in the States. And I was like, people are scanning my brain. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
They probably are. Have you heard that?
They probably are. The movie is.
It's terrible. Andy Gibb, isn't it? I mean, what were they thinking?
But it's like insane. It's like a dude who paints record covers or something, and then suddenly
he does murals, and the muses are sent down. One muse is sent down. What's his name?
On roller skates.
Gene Kelly's in it. Gene Kelly.
Yeah!
One of Gene Kelly's last
man.
films. Oh my
Yeah.
God! I couldn't believe that the movie got made, but then again, the '70s. You know,
Well,
pretty much everything
yeah,
got made.
when you have that
Weird.
song and Olivia Newton-John, it's like, who cares what the movie's about?
Well, that's true.
Right.
Although I do believe that
Yeah, great soundtrack though.
it is, but I do believe Gene Kelly saw the movie and went, "That's it." And
I'm
died.
done. I'm out.
I loved Gene Kelly.
I appreciate you. Well, then again, another Doctor Who connection. ELO, you know, did the soundtrack for
Yeah.
Xanadu. ELO, of
Yes.
course, and Love and Monsters. You know,
Don't bring me
so-
down.
I love ELO.
All right, as we always
Get
do
on
with
with it, buddy.
new guests, Christian, do you want to go through your history with Doctor Who? How did
Oh,
you
my
get
goodness.
into Doctor Who?
How did I get in Doctor Who? So I think right around the time when the show came back, 2005-ish, right? The reboot. I was sort of familiar with Tom Baker because Tom Baker is kind of the iconic Doctor, you
Yeah.
know, that everybody knows. And then some friends of mine were watching it, and of course it came to Netflix or whatever. And I started from the beginning, 2005, with Christopher Eccleston, and I just started watching from there and there and there. And just since then, since 2005, 2006, I really started like getting in the show, becoming a huge fan. Got my wife to watch the show. And I found a lot of my friends had watched the show as well, so it was a nice little kind of connection to it. And you know, as a huge sci-fi fan, you know, of course, this was like my bread and butter, and I loved it. And a lot of the stuff that I write, a lot of the things I get involved with, you know, I definitely use Doctor Who as a big reference, you know, as an inspiration for a lot of the weird things that I come up with, as far as what I like to do. But yeah, it's been such a huge part of my life, and I think I have like 3 different TARDISes in my house. Not actual. I wish actual TARDISes.
Yeah.
I have.
That's
I have
a
like
dream for every
I have
every
I have the one.
Whovian.
I have like I think a couple figures, you know, of rows of 10, and then the actual TARDIS. Then I have a cookie jar TARDIS, and then I have a third TARDIS that's I don't even know what it is. But yeah, we have that. And even for our friends knew how big Doctor Who fans we were, so they got us a bunch of like Doctor Who memorabilia and paintings. We have the Matt Smith what's one? Come Along Pond.
Oh, Vincent Van Gogh.
We have the Nighthawk Diner painting in the back, the one where Amy
right.
and the Doctor are sitting at the famous painting, the Nighthawk Diner, like I forget the name of it, but anyways, it's that we have that in our house. So we have like, you know, little things around the house. I think someone gave us a Doctor Who beach towel because, you know, because clearly I go to the beach. No.
But
It was just, but yeah, just weird little things, memorabilia that people have given us over the years because they know that we're huge. My brother's into it, so it's like it's just a fun.
It's a family affair.
Part of my life. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, so try to keep up with it as much as I can.
Yeah,
and of course I suffered through the 1996 movie as well. I was curious, and I should have let that lie. I should have been like, you know what? I'm good not knowing what this is. So
yeah, I feel like it's a test for most Whovians where it's like, you know, okay, I'm going to do this, and if I still love it at the end, it's like, okay,
I am a true fan.
Yeah, I am a true fan. Yeah, and I never watched the original. I tried watching the original, but it's tough to get into that. So maybe someday I'll try to force myself to watch the original series at some point.
It's completely different aesthetic. Like we've watched a couple of the older episodes, and I obviously got into the show through 2005 series as well. So it is different to go back and watch what would now be like a 40-minute episode split up into like 6 half-an-hour episodes where people keep getting kidnapped again and then released and then kidnapped again, and it's like it always blows my mind to think that at a time when there were only like 6 or 7 channels on TV, they were so desperate for stuff that they would just pad stuff out and be like, we'll just we'll just pad it out, we'll just make it go for longer, and
but
it's
also
crazy.
That was the 60s and 70s. It was serial television.
Yeah,
and that
I was going to say, how do they do like how when they? I was always curious about how the episodes were released. Were they just those in serial format, right? For like one episode was like different segments.
Yeah. So what I would do is we only had one station where I grew up, one TV station, but it would be on Monday night. So you'd watch it for half an hour, and then part 2 would be Tuesday, part 3 would be Wednesday, and it would finish, usually they were 4s, finish on Thursday, and then there'd be something else on a Friday. So it was really kill you if it was a 6-parter and you had to wait 3 nights before you could watch it again on the following Monday. But it was just, serial TV was the way it was. So you always had a cliffhanger at the end. Some of them were good, some of them were bullshit. And we've picked out a few of the ones that I thought were really good, and we've done reviews of them, and some of them you've liked, and some
So,
some you've gone kill.
But
me
I do look at it a lens. It's not suited for today's format where you can sit down and binge the whole thing. Like those 12-part episodes aren't designed to be sat down and watched all together.
No,
no.
But I would always recommend anyone watch Genesis of the Daleks because it gives you such a great backstory of the Daleks and Davros. But
all right, our episode today is 42, Series 3, Episode 7, written by Chris Chibnall and directed by Graham Harper. Originally aired on the BBC Saturday, May 19th, 2007. We start as we always do with a short synopsis. The Doctor and his companion find themselves on a vessel that drifts towards a large space phenomenon that threatens the entire crew. The TARDIS is lost, and soon the crew are being possessed and killed by a strange entity. Will the Doctor and Rose be able to stop the beast? Sorry. Will the Doctor and Martha be able to stop Taraji, a sentient star? They only have 42 minutes, and the clock is ticking down.
I love Graham. I love him.
Sure.
I think he's fantastic.
Sure.
Anything that he's in always gets me a little bit excited.
The director?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's I forgot that Chris Chibnall wrote this.
That's right.
And rewatching it, I didn't know how I would feel rewatching it.
Yeah. Rewatching it, I'm like, we have literally done this episode last season, a two-parter, like...
The Impossible Planet.
No
That's
one
right.
sits
As
it-
you were describing it, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds like The Beast Below. Like, this sounds like...
exactly.
The Impossible Planet. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, it's the same. It's a similar... Well, that's the whole thing with Martha, right? It's like she even says, like, he's going back and revisit all these old hits with her, like she did with Rose.
Yeah, I suppose,
At least he's not an absolute bastard to Martha in this one, because he has been in the previous couple of episodes.
true.
But she's still nicer to him than he deserves, I think. Much as I love the Doctor this season, the way he treats Martha annoys me so much.
Well, now that he's now that she's a full companion, he doesn't treat her as badly as he has for the last couple of episodes.
Maybe. We'll see.
Now that Martha has been upgraded to full companion, the Doctor soups up her phone with universal roaming. However, before she can give it a go, the TARDIS receives a distress signal, and they end up on a very warm spaceship. Martha takes off her black cardigan, which then completely disappears. Ooh.
Maybe it burnt up.
Maybe burn. Yeah, probably, because it was outside, yeah. They meet the crew of the ship, who advise them they have 42 minutes until they crash into a sun. Ooh.
Yes.
Just 42.
Yeah.
Just 42 minutes. I mean, the title itself, of course, is the Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy. Big reference there. I'm not as well versed in that world. My wife, again, she's a big fan of that, and so that's the connection that I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, the whole time that this is like the tropiest troped episode, as far as Doctor Who goes. There's so many things that like. Of the space, like outer space, everything go wrong kind of thing. Because again, rewatching the episode, you're just like, wait a second, like there's so many things in this episode that I was like, just when I was taking notes, I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. But they have the countdown, they have an evil entity chasing them down. They have all these things. They're in space. It's a distress call. There's a captain who's not letting on what she's supposed. There's not.
Oh yeah.
She's not giving us all the information she wants to do.
But it's also such a British episode as well. It's so British. Like they have a pub quiz to get through the door.
Yeah, pub quiz going on. Yeah.
For an episode where they don't know who the Beatles are, and yet everything is super British.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But I did love that it's a pub quiz and it's not, it's just beautiful and random, I thought.
Yeah.
That they have a pub quiz thing. But very British. But it did remind me also of later on, we have Midnight when the Doctor's
sure.
That reminded me a little
Classic.
bit of that. And
Classic.
the Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen, the Planet of Fear.
Sure.
Or Planet of Evil, where everyone gets taken over by antimatter, as you do. As you do.
Love it. After the theme music, the Doctor tries to get back to the TARDIS, but it's in the vent room. It'll keep getting hotter the closer they get to the sun. Considering the temperature rose 3,000 degrees in 10 seconds, it's a surprise they managed to survive being in that room for so long.
Yeah, well, thank God they did.
Yeah, if they had stayed there for 1 second longer,
or else we wouldn't have an episode. Like,
yeah.
I was gonna say things need to happen. Every time I question anything, we're just watching something, and I'm like, it's sci-fi, whatever. They're in space, it's fine.
Yeah,
But
and
so they're in a different. They're not forward in time, right? It's just a different part of the galaxy, or they're a distant galaxy.
Oh,
like
they're
not-
definitely in the future, in Martha's future.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're
Martha's
Martha's
future.
future. Right.
yeah, and it is one of the things with Doctor Who that you do sometimes just have to sigh and go, you know what? That's how it is. Because Adam always complains to me, and whenever the Doctor turns up, there's trouble.
Yeah.
And I go, yes, but that's because the TARDIS knows, and so the TARDIS decides to take him there. You see, this is how I live through my Doctor Who universe. Everything happens for a reason, buddy.
This is one of the only times where they actually get a distress call and they go to the distress call. Like, usually it's just they turn up and they're like, all right, let's find out what the issue is.
Yeah, exactly.
I always hate it when they can't get to the TARDIS.
Yeah.
There's always that part of me that feels a bit more panicky. Like, what's going to happen?
But they did the exact same thing in The Beast Below, where it falls into the middle of the thing.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't even a valid explanation. At the end, they're just like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Cool down.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, they're like, it's not in the budget. You know how expensive it is to get those shots of the exterior, and then the interior, and having the actors like, oh, it's small, it's bigger on the inside. You know, well, that's the other thing about the storytelling aspect. Is like, well, what can we like? Do we have the Doctor not be able to function without the TARDIS? He can't use the TARDIS in this episode, so he has to rely on like everything around him. Or is it gonna be a TARDIS centric episode where it's like either one or the other, you know? And there's a lot of episodes where it's like where he figures out, okay, you know, he doesn't need the TARDIS. There's a ton of episodes, like you can count like on two hands, like how many times the Doctor doesn't have the TARDIS. Like I'm pretty sure might have been like at least 3 or 4 episodes in a row at one point where he was just relying on his own wits.
Yeah, and I remember Jodie was like that in her first couple of episodes.
And Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Matt Smith was first go. He didn't have the TARDIS. He didn't have a Sonic. So it's just like one of those things where it's just the episode where it does. And that's the thing. It's like you don't know where you're going to get for the sake of the plot. Is it going to be a TARDIS-centric episode and you learn more about the TARDIS and how like really dirty it is? Like how honest to God. I really feel like they went specifically for 9 and 10 for Eccleston and Tennant. They really just went into the prop closet, right? Just wherever and just took a bunch of stuff and like this because Smith seemed like had this retro style, which was kind of cool. Everything kind of had its thing, very vintage. And then of course with Tennant, it just looked like a bunch of junk. We're like, oh, here's a hammer. Oh, here's just like a switch we found. Oh, here's this. And then as the show progressed, we saw more of a machine. Like for Smith and then for Capaldi, they shared a very machine-like TARDIS.
As soon as Capaldi came in, he gets like a cleaner or something, a robot cleaner to like clean up. Like, this is filthy. I can't believe what I've done to the place.
I can't even deal with this right now. Like,
Smith's was pretty shiny, I remember.
Sure.
Yeah, Smith's was I like the early, like when he was young, like the season 5, like series 5, when he started having a very like cool, very well lit TARDIS, you know, with the very like the old retro, like when he was like, even when he was communicating, like the old technology that he had in his TARDIS. But I always find it so funny that, you know, David Tennant, who's Scottish, didn't do his Scottish accent, and Capaldi was just like, forget it, I'm just gonna do it. So there's nothing you can do about that. I'm Peter fucking Capaldi. You know,
there's differences between like the series they're watching now. Like so you know, they literally probably only just been renewed for another season. They're doing like filler episodes to try and like make cheap episodes to fill in the thing. Now it's like, no, we're going to cut the amount of episodes you have. You only have 10 episodes.
Yeah.
We'll give you an extra 5 minutes per episode. And it's like they're literally trying to stay on by the edge of their seat, basically. But back then it was like, all right, can you do an episode for like half what you normally do? Yeah. We'll do 2 episodes at the same time. One won't have the Doctor in it. It's fine.
Well, that's because we've got a bit more prestige now.
Yeah.
Or they have a bit more prestige now.
Yeah.
I love the fact David Tennant's accent, he just got bagged out for doing the worst English accent and equating it to Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins. Because apparently, and I didn't know, Dick Van Dyke got bagged out for his English accent in Mary Poppins.
Of course.
That was a big to-do because, when he started, I don't know if it was as bad as Don Cheadle's accent in the Ocean's movies. That from I heard, like, it's so funny, like, you can break down, like, British actors are so good at doing American accents. You know, you see like Christian Bale, you see Benedict Cumberbatch, you see all these great British actors. Meanwhile, you have American actors who some have done British accents pretty well, but like Don Cheadle, Dick Van Dyke, Though I did hear that British people did actually like Renee Zellweger's accent in Bridget Jones' Diary. They said that was actually pretty good.
I thought she was good, and I thought Gwyneth in Sliding Doors was good.
Sure.
Not that I'm a fan of Gwyneth at the best of times, but I thought she was good in Sliding Doors. She's a little weird for me.
But yeah.
Yeah, and it is like Christian Bale, I didn't realise he was English for a while.
Oh,
so,
sure, right, yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to master the American accent to but now it's like, when you watch Doctor Strange and you hear that accent, it's like, nah, that doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah, after you've seen him in Sherlock, I think.
Yeah. Basically, it was so funny when the fandoms, like everybody's, in the fandoms had exploded. You have all these Sherlock fans who are also Marvel fans. And they're like, oh, is he? Because it was rumored that he was going to be Doctor Strange, and then the minute he became Doctor Strange, everybody was just like lost their minds. And then there's such a perfect opportunity for him and Robert Downey Jr. to share the no shit Sherlock joke, but that we didn't get that joke.
Oh, damn it.
Maybe,
unfortunately, I think that was just fan
will.
service. Maybe someday, maybe in a flashback or something. But
it reminds me of a friend of mine. He's German. He lives in Australia now, and he'd watched a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies just in German. And when he came over here and watched them with the English, and heard his actual voice, because they get dubbed by a deep baritone in Germany. He said he laughed and laughed and laughed when he first heard his English accent.
Well, then of course there's the story that apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger has a voice coach to help him keep his Austrian accent, because that's part of his.
Oh, it is true.
It's part of his brand. But
yeah.
apparently, when you just hear him talking normally at a party or something, he sounds way more American. But he has to actually put the voice on because he's like, "Oh, it's what people expect."
Interesting.
I wonder if that's true.
Because he's lived most of his life. He's probably lived like 2/3 of his life in America now.
He was in the U.S. like from a very young age. Like he was basically winning all the Olympias, Mr. Olympias, back to back to back. He was like the bodybuilding circuit, all that stuff, Venice Beach, all that stuff was happening in the 70s.
Yeah.
So he's basically like been in, he's been, and he had started his career, like his movie career and everything. So,
it's weird to think that like the first couple of movies he was in, they dubbed somebody else's voiceover because they were like, no one can understand him. But now he's actually like trying to keep that voice because it's part of the brand,
So when I talk to him, he actually sounds like Christian.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Christian could be the voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger is what we're trying to say. Yeah.
We don't know. We have not seen each other in the same. I haven't been in the same room as him, so we don't. It's really, for all as we know.
I think that's a very important point there, Christian.
It is.
I don't think any of us have been in the same room, so technically Arnold Schwarzenegger could be the three of us in a trench coat, is what we're trying to say.
It doesn't know. It's true.
Wow, I'm not the voice. I'm too girly.
I'm surprised we got that deep or this early on.
Yes. That's what we do. That's what we do.
I was going to say it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, exactly. The ship uses energy scoops for fusion, a process which has been outlawed. Apparently, the Pentelian is due for an upgrade next docking, but it feels like they might be lying about it.
Yes, I think so. I mean,
Really? I don't know. It wasn't subtle at all with the way that people were just saying, "What are you talking about? I'm not doing anything. What's an energy scoop?"
Yeah.
I feel like there's sort of a thing of like, oh, maybe we'll do it next time, but then it's like, no, we're definite. But why just get an upgrade? Is it like it's not free or something? They have to pay for it, or who knows?
I was gonna say it's like your registration, right? It's like the same thing for like your license registration or something. I really should do it, or like your inspection, right? When you get your car inspected in the States, we have to have it like every few years. And if you're like, oh, I'll do it but there's a sticker literally on your window to tell you this is when it expires. So it's like, I wonder if there's a giant sticker in this kind of on the Pentelian that just says it right there, what year they need to upgrade it. But yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it costs money. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
My feeling was that they didn't have enough money to do it. I mean, you saw the decor of the place, right?
Yeah, sure.
This is not state of the art. This looks like, I don't know, a factory that went flying.
Right.
It's pretty bad.
It's messy. And I think that's what I like about the episode. It's very the thing is you feel like you're sweating as you're watching the episode too. You're like just all this sweat coming down because you just feel the heat. Not only is it with like the setting of the dirty, danky, which is nice because like not all ships are like looking clean and fresh and everything like that. Not all ships look like the interior of like a Star Destroyer where everything's black and constantly like poorly lit. But like with here, it's like a very dingy, but also the lighting was really cool
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it too, because the lighting made it feel like really you had to squint. You're like, oh, they're sweating a lot. You're just like,
But
okay.
the problem is if it was like a ship, like a fishing boat or something, it's like a dingy sort of, you'd expect there'd be a couple of leaks, but it's like they're in the middle of space. If they have one leak in the hull, everybody in the crew gets sucked out through that tiny little hole,
Die. Yeah. It's a very not well kept ship. It's definitely like I will do this tomorrow kind of attitude with how everybody.
But they're in space. It's their entire existence. If I rocked up and I was like, oh, this is where we're going to live, I'm out. I'm out.
I can tell you how upset there's something very specific about it. I don't know if we'll get to it. I'm sure as you tell it. But yeah, it's a very, very unkept ship, especially in space. So no, I agree wholeheartedly.
The thing I read, the main actress, she's been in, I don't know, the soapy Coronation Street and a few things, and she was a bit nervous because they said no makeup. You've got to look really like you're in and you can tell she's not wearing any makeup.
Meanwhile, the makeup artist is like, what am I supposed to do, guys?
It's like, can I go home early?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, who's doing David's hair? Is David's hair for this episode?
I'm sure they have a separate person for that. They have David's hair guy, and then they have the makeup artist.
That's right.
They have David hair team for that.
Yeah.
There's a team. There's about 10 of them, I think.
I would love to see that spin-off of the show is like David's hair team.
Yeah.
Like, hi, we're David's hair team.
Yes.
This is why it looks always so good. But as you tell, like as series 3 continues on to series 4, the hair slowly starts moving up more and more.
Yeah.
I know.
You're like,
Higher. I can get higher.
It's so high.
Yeah. But like it. Yeah. I was gonna say like it's very real in the sense that there's definitely just the grease and the grime. You're like, I don't want to be on that ship. It's gross.
And it does. It's a great feel. I love the feel of the whole episode.
Yeah. But David Tennant's the Doctor is like, it's almost like he rolls up his sleeves and he's like, all right, let's do this. I've done this. I've once used a tea bag twice instead of throwing it out, so I know what it's like to be poor.
I quite like that, but I just think they couldn't put him in low-ceilinged ships because his hair just gets too high.
His hair would just get everywhere.
Yeah, eventually.
Like clearance levels.
Yeah. He's out.
The only option is the auxiliary engines, but they need to get past 29 password-sealed doors to get to the front of the ship to activate them. Riley and Martha go to unlock the doors to get to the bridge because the best things in these situations is to split the party.
Riley and Martha.
Yes.
She should have stayed with
God.
Riley.
I was gonna say, it's funny because it's like, this is this part of the episode where we have to start caring for people, right? This is where we start getting to know people, and you're like, oh, okay, this is our character development. Because there's only 42 minutes, so we have to get to know these people. We have to start to like them because we can't like introduce them and then totally just kill them up like most episodes, after 2-3 minutes.
Well, they have other people for that, so they have the old grizzly guy, and
But I think they normally do it in most episodes. They kind of do it pretty well. I think that you at least find something to like about them, but occasionally no.
Right.
It's like a slasher film, basically. It's like they start off with a cast of 20 and you can't remember anyone's names because eventually they're just going to start murdering people and you'll know the names of like 5 or 6 people by the end.
You'll know the sex couple. They get killed.
You'll know the sex couple, but they'll get killed while having sex. Yeah.
The bookie girl who went. Yeah.
Oh, they're gone. Yeah, they're dead. They're dead. Well, it's funny because like it's so funny how some shows will telegraph who's going to die and who's going to like live in these sort of scenarios and stuff like that. It's like one character specifically talks something about having a kid or they're retiring or something very specific, and then you're like, they're dead, or they're dating somebody in the like a main, like if a supporting character happens to be dating a main character of the show, you're like, this is not going to last.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes.
Or the doctor, when the doctor's like, all of you can go, I'll stay here by myself with the person who's just freaking out. It'll be totally fine. It's like, you're dead. Bye, you're dead. Bye.
Goodbye.
Well, I was going to say, is there a game where you can see when the doctor tells somebody that I'm going to save your life, but then doesn't? Because that happens a lot too, right? Like, are there times where I've definitely watched enough of the show to realize that they're like, you're going to be okay. Voyage of the Damned.
Yeah.
And I think in the drinking game, that's when you down your entire drink is when that happens.
If all 4 characters die within 5 minutes of each other, it's being like, all right, we see how it is.
I think if I was in any of these situations, then people said, what are you looking forward to when you get up? I've got nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I've got nothing to look forward to. Are you going out with anyone? No.
I'm a complete blank slate.
Yeah. Would you like to come over with this person? No, thank you. I'll just stay here.
I would just stick with the doctor the whole time. Like, wherever the fuck you're going, I'm going to go with you, babe.
Yeah, I'd actually, not just stick with him. I'd put my arms and legs around his back and then make him carry me everywhere. Then I'd survive.
The doctor and ship captain Kath get called to the medbay where Kath's husband Corwin has been found. He put the ship into secure closure, destroyed the engine, and now refuses to open his eyes. The doctor knocks him out with a sedative and tells him that Corwin has become infected and is presenting weird energy signals.
I think I could have told you that.
They leave Corwin in the care of the doctor. That's the ship's doctor, Abby Lerner.
Oh, yeah.
Victim number 1. Well, victim number 2, I suppose, if you count Corwin as the first victim.
Chibnall will bring her back. It'll be fine. She'll
Of course.
He's like going to say, isn't that the rule of Doctor Who? If you play a one-off character, they'll bring you back for something else.
Yeah.
Always.
Because we see that happen rather. I mean, it's funny when you start to have that aha moment. You're like, wait, wasn't that person just like some random like one-off character in that one episode, and now they have a major role in a later episode. So that happens a lot. So
it's probably in your contract. If you're only in 2 scenes, you get to come back as another small character. If you're in the entire episode as a main character, you'll probably come back as the Doctor.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, most likely that happens.
I wanted them to bring back the young girl in Impossible Planet who dies at the beginning of the first episode, and I can't think of her name. Sissy or something. Suki.
No,
Suki.
Yeah.
I liked her.
Yeah.
Haven't brought her back yet.
And speaking of episodes that like introduce you to a bunch of characters you really start to care about, I really like that because they set everybody up. Like they immediately establish their scenario within the first 10 minutes, and I'm
true.
like the captain he wasn't the first captain, so he's kind of had this weight put on him. So that's an episode or a sense where I liked how they developed everybody early on, where I was like, immediately I'm like, I care about every single one of these characters. But yeah, like, I mean, it's interesting how Doctor Who will do that, where they'll take just like a very innocuous, like they'll just show up, whether it's a distress call or not, they'll show up, and then immediately you'll meet a ragtag bunch of people that you're like, oh, okay, I can see I care about these people.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that we don't sort of turn up, they're always ragtag. They're not, completely well organised. They've got everything under control, and nobody really needs the Doctor. I like that we don't do that.
They're pretty, I was going to say, like, have we ever been, well, we've always been in the scenarios where they clearly know what they're doing, but they really don't, versus we have no idea, like, we have this under control. No, you don't, obviously. That's why the Doctor showed up. Where scenarios like, like in Midnight, you're saying like, basically how the situation, like there's one person saying that the situation is under control, but it's clearly not. So, you have these scenarios where these bunch of people that are just like thrown in a situation, and it's very much like they're just a bunch of random people brought together by the scenario.
Yeah. They never turn up to a scenario and it's like everybody's on the same page, everybody understands each other. They're all like ragtag, like they never turn up and it's like, no, we're all totally fine, don't worry about it.
Everybody believes the Doctor as soon as he turns up. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
Immediately like, oh, well, obviously you're a doctor, so let's believe you.
They'll always have one person who will believe the Doctor because he says that he's a doctor. One person who's like, I don't believe you. Another person who's like, I'm still on the fence, but I'll believe you by the end of the episode.
Or another one who believes the Doctor but has evil intentions, so won't believe him.
Or there's somebody that you clearly think who doesn't believe the Doctor, who you think is the bad guy, but later on is just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Just not loved or breastfed by his mother.
Of course.
The
only way to open the deadlocked doors is through answering a pub quiz. This includes questions such as the date the SS Pentilion first set off, finding the next in a sequence of happy prime numbers, and obscure Old English questions like who had more number 1 hits, Elvis or the Beatles. Unlike a pub quiz, though, they can't get any questions wrong or else the system will freeze them out. However, this never happens, and I don't know why they bring it up, because they get them all right.
Yeah, they do. But it adds to the tension.
I was gonna say we see like the first 5 questions, and then the rest were to assume that they got everything right. Right? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that?
They
exactly
can't they can't spend the entire episode writing questions.
Why
okay?
not? I'd watch that episode.
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yes, I want to know my trivia. God damn it! Like, tell me I want to know where this thing is. Like, what is this? What is this? Yeah, I. That's a really good point because I didn't think about that. I was like, oh wait, yeah. They literally answer 3 questions. Martha calls her mom, like, and is obviously terrible to her. So, and then later on, we're just to assume that they got all the answers right.
Yeah.
Although I think Martha's mum's a bit of a bitch, I got to tell you. I don't like her.
Whenever she calls up and she's obviously like emotional, her mum's like, "Are you with the doctor? Who's there? Where's the doctor? Why are you hanging out with this man?" It's like, you have just met this guy.
Yeah. Ease up, woman. I'm in my 20s.
She literally just met him the episode before, and then a weird government person came up and was like, "He's bad news." And she's like, "Yeah, pro-government. Woo."
Government turns up, tells me someone's bad news.
Yeah.
Because I'm Australian, I'd probably go,
I mean,
oh, okay,
I was going to say,
that's
look
fine.
at that hair. He's obviously trouble. You know, he's obviously this. You don't know what you're going to get. Look at his shoes. Look at those shoes.
Yeah.
Who wears Chuckies and has a hairstyle like that? Clearly
Absolutely.
somebody who is just...
But also, he saved them last episode. He saved them.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. I think Christian's right. If you don't have a side part and pat your hair down, you cannot be taken seriously in life. No, she's very hard to like, Martha's mother, in this. Very hard to like.
Martha rings her mum and asks her to look up who had more #1 hits using her mid-2000s internet. Remember those days, guys?
Yes.
There's not even, like, there's a vague, like, dial-up tone, but she is on the internet straight away.
You know, I remember the days in my youth where you'd sit around and you'd go, "Hey, who was it who sang Don't Go Breaking My Heart?"
Yeah.
Oh, Fred'll know. Let's ring Fred at 3 in the morning. Hey, Fred!
Yeah, I was
going to
say, what did we do before smartphones? What did we do before the internet? We had to go to the library or ask somebody, and even then they wouldn't know. I was like, we just sat around and just...
Yeah,
Even when we first had the
argued over
internet, it was like, oh, I'll look up the answer. Give me 10 minutes.
That's true. That's true. And as you were dialing up, some idiot picked the phone up. You go,
I gotta start all over
I was
again.
going to say, the most realistic aspect of Martha's mom looking up the information is like everybody asking their parent to look up some information on the internet. It's the same thing. You're like, all right, go to that. Hang on. It's still loading. You're like, okay, hang on 1 second. Yep. You just go to the, no, hold on 1 second. Hang on. It's the same. That to me was like, that's too real. Like that is like that. I'm sure that's happened to people all the time.
But if this was a classic episode, she would have rung up her mum and asked her mum, "Hey, do you know?" But then Russell Chibnall's like, "Yeah, but I've got to involve the internet somehow because the internet's new. It's what everyone uses now." So she looks it up on the internet. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you ring Tish or Leo? You know,
or someone from the future where they have fast internet.
Yeah, true. Maybe she didn't know. But Christian, I have that with my mother. She's in her 80s. She's got Facebook. And she'll ring and say, "I can't see anything." And I go, "Well, look at the buttons down the bottom. Hit this one." "I don't have it." "Yes, you do. Everyone should have that." "Are you on Facebook?" "No, I don't have it." And this will go on for like 40 minutes. And I will want to get in the car, drive to her house, pick up her phone, go, "This button," and then drive home and ring her back. And go,
that's the thing we're dealing with everything remotely too, because I work remotely, and that's like the biggest thing. Whenever you're in a meeting or you're anything like that, it's just like, no, okay, never mind then, forget it.
You just feel like taking a Valium and having a lie down, really.
Also, do you notice that she plugs in her mouse and then uses it backwards?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
She hasn't turned it round the right way. The cord is still pointing towards her, and she like pushes a button, but the mouse is like not working. I don't know why.
No,
she bothers
that's what we
plugging
did
it in.
back then. You don't know.
Yeah.
We did
in
that.
the mid-2000s, we used mouses backwards.
Backwards. It was the cool thing to do, because how else would it be ergonomic for the sake?
Oh my God! First lady I ever worked with, when they gave us a mouse, she thought you held it up and rolled the ball underneath with your finger.
Well, I mean, you could. You could.
It's very slow.
Also, that laptop boots up real quickly for something that's probably running Windows XP.
Oh, yeah. Can't you forget how crap the internet used to be? And
Would she have a laptop? What does Martha's
Yeah.
mom do? What does she do? Do we know what because obviously her dad, Martha's dad's obviously very rich. Like, You know, that's been established. If he can spend we don't know. We assume that he spends all the money on his girlfriend and all these big parties. But we assume that Martha's parents are pretty well off if they can have big parties at pubs.
Well, because she's at home in the middle of the day. So she's not at work. So either she's working from home or in a time when hardly anyone would have worked from home. Yeah, I don't think they ever explain what she does for a job.
Well, she whines a lot, and she's probably doing a dossier about how bad the doctor is.
Well, we know what Tish does. Tish obviously has the best luck in the job market ever than anybody in the history of ever. Well, because of the master's machinations, we know. But it's so funny how quickly she gets a job in PR and all these other things. I'm like, did she go to school for that?
She's surprised. She's like, I can't believe I got the head of this PR job.
Yeah, but she does get a job in PR, and then her boss does try to eat her. So
and then that's true. And then she gets a job in the government. So it's a total obvious path. That's how it works. It's the same thing.
I'd be really worried my boss would try to eat me in my next job just in case.
Yeah, you'd constantly be worried from then on.
That's what Doctor Who teaches us. Yeah. Make sure you don't get eaten by your boss.
You're just a creep who chats up his workers. Oh, that's fine. As long as you don't try and eat me, that's fine.
That's right. Harassment, that'll do as long as I don't get eaten.
I'm used to that.
I'll do that. That's the lesser of two evils.
Well, that's the other thing. Tish is totally okay with he's old and he's acting like a creep, but then when he's young, that's
we talked about that. It's as soon as he's young, she's like, actually now it's not creepy.
There's some HR issues going on there, I can tell you.
It's body positivity, basically.
That's right. Young people are great.
In the med center, Corwin has woken up and tells Abby to burn with me. He opens his now glowing eyes and vaporizes her, leaving a burnt shape on the wall.
Would there be?
I don't know what. Yeah.
Well, we have to know. Otherwise, she's just a pile of dust. You know.
I was gonna say, did it have to be a cartoon shape of her body? Just so we know it's her. It could have been anybody. Why do we have to assume that it was her?
The doctor comes in and he's like, "Oh, she must have exited out of this way."
I thought it was very Wile E. Coyote. I was,
Well, yeah, it's the imprint of somebody before they left, on a photo or something.
The test results show that the oxygen in Corwin's body has been replaced by hydrogen, and his body temperature was 100 degrees. We know that it's 100 degrees Celsius, or the boiling point of water, and not 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 37 degrees Celsius, or the normal body temperature for a human.
That's right. If it was Fahrenheit, then he's fine. Let him out.
Yeah, he's totally fine. Must be 100 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, they should have specified that. They have an international audience.
Well, everything else is British, so...
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are to assume that it... Yeah, I know. Yeah, us Americans are like, what? Hang on a second. Back up a minute.
100 degrees, that sounds fine.
Yeah,
it's 100 degrees, whatever. That's normal.
Yeah.
Let him out, he's good.
The captain warns the crew about Corwin. Arena, sent to get equipment and sick of being pushed around, asks for someone to kill her, so Corwin readily complies.
Oh.
Arena. Poor Arena. God, we got so much time with her. Did we get any time with her at the beginning?
No, not really.
Zero.
She seems fine, but then when she's like, oh, someone killed me, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a side of her I haven't seen in the couple of minutes we've met her. Yeah.
But what it's nice is if somebody obliges.
Yes, exactly.
When you ask that.
Why does Corwin wear the welding helmet? If his plan is to stop the crew of the ship, why not just keep his eyes open the whole time and burn the whole ship down?
Yeah, the helmet just...
It's really nice of him to put the helmet on so he doesn't, burn everything in the ship.
They can only afford it for certain shots. Don't you know this?
Yes, yeah.
Well, he's quite a good-looking actor. I would have liked to see a bit more of him.
Yeah. And the fact that some poor costumer spent a lot of time either looking for the helmet or getting that helmet. They're like, we're going to use this helmet so much. You know how much money I spent on this helmet? This was half our budget.
Yeah, but it's also we were talking about Marvel. It's the Marvel thing of you get Robert Downey Jr. to play Iron Man, and then you're going to put him in a mask for the whole movie. Yeah. We want to see that pretty face. Thank you very much.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought he was very pretty. He could have taken the mask off. I didn't understand it, but
it's just weird because it definitely they again with the tropes, they leaned into the whole creepy mask trope that that wasn't done in 1977 or anything like that of a famous sci-fi movie.
No.
But
No,
like,
of
I
course
definitely,
not, no.
yeah, no, I've never. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Star Wars. I don't know.
Really? No.
No, really, I've never heard of that. I think that to me that just like I felt like they were trying to like if they were gonna do everything sci-fi like horror or sci-fi like dark sci-fi, they were gonna have a guy walking around a mask with a deep, heavy breathing voice that they had to use it because they were doing everything else. Why not do that?
Yeah, that's true. I just kept thinking all he's doing is just making himself even hotter.
Sure,
like sweaty. And then I thought the poor actor. That poor actor walking around.
Yes,
going,
that's true.
Yeah.
Spending all that time under the helmet.
My favorite part of the episode is where he goes up to Arena and goes, Arena, I am your father.
I just imagine he rang his mum and dad and went, I'm in Doctor Who, you got to watch me. I didn't see you.
Yeah, like, we didn't see your face until we only saw your face for the first 5 minutes. And your eyes were closed.
Yeah, sure. And I didn't know that they were going to redub my voice as James Earl Jones. I didn't know that was going to happen.
The other thing.
What are we all going to do when there's no James Earl Jones voice?
Have you seen the footage of David Prowse doing the lines in the Darth Vader?
Yes, without James Earl Jones.
Oh,
yeah.
It would have been a very different movie. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Really?
They said people on set were like cracking up because they were like, this can't be Darth Vader's voice. This is hilarious.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's Scottish, I think.
Ah. I thought it would be like, oh, look, I'm your father. And then I go,
hello, love, I'm your bloody father, innit?
Or a very Australian voice. Hey, Luke, I'm your dad.
Put a fucking cape on it.
Yeah.
After an update on how close Martha and Riley are to the front of the ship, Corwin shares his powers with Ashton by burning his face with his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shares powers? Why does he need to share powers?
So he just transfers his consciousness to the other one?
Apparently.
We assume?
All you need to do is look at the sun or be touched by the sun. I don't know why they don't just go around and make everyone sun people. Like,
I thought of Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yes.
Well, didn't they have both of them at one point too? Right, the two of them walking around. Yeah. So I don't know why they just literally just make everybody sun people and just save a lot of time.
Yeah.
You don't have to kill anyone then. Well, not the way that you killed the poor old cartoon lady. You could just turn everyone into the sun and then have a ball.
And also, they can't hide. Like, it's not like they can, you're a sun person, but now go and infiltrate them. Because they walk around being like, burn with me, burn with me. All right, mate, burn with you. We've heard it 1,000 times before.
You are really bad at blending in there.
Yes. Ashton hunts down Martha and Riley, but they escape into an escape pod. After a dumb sort of back and forth to pad out the episode, the escape pod launches with Martha and Riley and sent drifting close to the sun as the Doctor watches.
I loved this bit.
The bit in the end, because I didn't like the bit just before where did they really think that people were going to find it exciting of people just jabbing numbers of a control panel?
Yeah.
I'm like, and it's back and forth. Will they? Won't they? Will they? Won't they?
That's just a terrible. I mean, if you talk about how old the ship is, that's just a terrible design flaw, right?
Yeah.
On the ship, like there's only one place that they can guarantee that there's going to be safe for just simply punching numbers frantically. Well, it's the music.
Yeah.
That's really what makes the scene a little more interesting, I'm sure.
Hey, I'm a safety person. There was no risk assessment on any of this.
Well, they didn't have a safety person, so.
Well, it should probably burn them.
But I was going to say, like, that scene after, though, I mean, that...
Yeah, sure.
I love the scene after, and the Doctor's, and she's at the window.
I'm going to save you, I'm going to save you.
And I'm like, oh, well, thank God you're not going to be a dick today. That's great. But yeah, I liked that. And then you had that little bit of time with Martha and Riley, I thought was good. I thought it helped develop her.
Yeah, it was a nice little scene because, I mean, they're on the verge of death. So it's like they have to share this. There's this moment between them that they have to kind of share this time, their last minutes together. But like, does Martha lose faith? No. I mean, does she lose faith in the Doctor? Because, it's this really big kind of scary moment. But I mean, it's a very, very nice scene that they have. And of course, seeing the Doctor mouth Martha behind the glass was just like, it was heartbreaking,
It was, and it's also that scene where you get to catch your breath. And sometimes when things are frantic, you just need a little bit where the audience can go, okay, go. Yeah. I thought it was lovely.
Martha holds out hope that the Doctor will save them, but Riley doesn't have anyone to believe in. Riley tells Martha to call her family, but he has no way of knowing that she has a phone that can actually call anyone throughout the universe.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of the Doctor. The Doctor is a god stuff that I had some problems with. Anyway, I believe in the Doctor.
Martha calls her mum to speak to her one last time, but Harold Saxon's people are in Francine's flat trying to pinpoint where Martha is. Ooh.
You remember watching this and going, who's this Harold Saxon? What's going on? It's so cool.
But it's the typical, like, every scene where they're trying to track a criminal on the other line scene, where she's doing the kind of the move, like the lady's doing the keep them on the phone kind of like a hostage. It's very much like pulled out of like a very like a police drama. Like that whole sequence felt very like police drama-y to me, because it was like these people we don't really know, but it's very much like, oh, keep her on the line. We're gonna keep her talking while we pinpoint her placement in time. And do they ever tell her mom what?
No.
Okay.
They don't, and you're right. Anytime I see someone saying, "Oh, we're going to trace the call," I go, "I know what they're going to do next. They're going to go keep them on the line."
Keep them on the line. Keep them on the line.
But that's the thing. Francine's doing a pretty good job of keeping the conversation going until the Harold Saxon lady goes, "Keep him on the line," and then Martha's like, "Well, I better go. Yeah. All right, see ya."
I think I could keep him on the line, but anyway.
Martha breaks down after the call with her mum, and Riley holds her for comfort, giving her a kiss on the head. It seems like a really inappropriate time to be trying to move up from friends, mate.
No, you're just about to die. It's the perfect time.
Okay, sure, fine.
Good Lord. If that's not the right time, it's not coming. There's no other time coming. Just go with what you got.
Corwin further wrecks the engine so that they super can't fix it. After telling Kath that it's all her fault, he tries to vaporize her, but Oren opens the ice vent and freezes Corwin.
Yeah. Freezes him. How many degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Yeah, don't know. It's the ice vent.
I need to know.
Every ship's got an ice vent, am I right?
Yeah, but not a panic room.
And every alien doesn't like ice vents, ever. Like in every sci-fi movie. They're like, I hate, this is my one weakness. How did you find this? Either fire or ice. Like there's only two weaknesses for aliens on ships.
Yeah.
I think you've got to have a fire room as well, because if the ice warrior is attacking you from Mars, then you need a fire room.
But everywhere on the ship is the fire room, so...
Fire room, ice room. Do you think you'd like a panic room? No, screw that. It'll be fine.
Kath lures Ashton to the med center and freezes him in the open status pod, even though her arm suffers no ill effects.
Yes.
It's a big open machine that's shooting out ice, freezing cold apparently, and she's like, my arm's fine.
Yeah. Well, she has done ice training.
Sure.
As part of her job.
Yes, I was going to say, she's a doctor. She's going to be a doctor. Obviously, she's done that before.
The Doctor hangs out the ship to grab a lever to remagnetize the escape pod to bring them back, conveniently found on the outside of the ship.
Okay. This is what,
Yeah, let's talk about this, shall we? First of all, I love how many, levers and stuff he has to pull to get to the actual... It's like, and then if I turn this key, this will open, and then I turn this lever, and then that will open, and then this lever opens the thing for the other lever that I have to push to do the other lever, to do this lever, to do this lever.
And then I put my right leg behind my neck. Yes. And
why is it on the outside of the ship? Why?
Yeah, why?
Why is it on the... I cannot tell you how angry that made me. Well, I was like, okay, well, first of all, who designed this ship? Because it's always going to be on the outside of the ship. Star Trek does it.
Always.
Like Star Trek and First Contact did it with the Borg. I'm like, why are these very specific switches and everything have to be on the outside of the ship? Why does this have to be on... So we could have the Doctor yell...
Even the Doctor's second episode, when he has to stop Cassandra, he's got to go through sharp things, pointy things, or fans to get to it. I mean, who designed this? There was no risk assessment on this shit.
And there's so much junk on the ship that he can't find a wrench or something just to use it to pull the lever down. Like he's got no, I've got to just go a little bit further.
Have you seen the movie Galaxy Quest?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
It is very, very funny, but they have to go to the switch that'll save them and turn it off.
Yeah.
And it's got all these chopping like guillotine things, and Sigourney Weaver's character goes, "Who designed this?"
What that literally happens in an episode. Christopher Eccleston, the end of the world, he has to go through the blades to get
that's what I was
to
saying.
the button.
With Cassandra, yeah. It's the same.
You're right.
It was so funny with Galaxy. I was gonna say, we always joke that Galaxy Quest is the best Star Trek movie you'll ever see because it makes fun of Star Trek. And it's
so
kind of
funny.
the whole ridiculous. But yeah, you're right. Like, who designs these? Like, why? It's only for the sake of the drama. But in what world would this make sense? Where they design these things that are obviously terrible, but yet they have to be on the outside of the ship, or they have to be in this one area that's only accessible past these giant fans or whatever.
Yeah, what I've realised that is when we get to the Star Trek era, and we have the Federation and stuff, we have just gotten rid of safety people. Because there's nobody would design something that had chopping guillotines that you have to get to stop everything.
Well, everyone lives in harmony, and so therefore everybody's super safe.
So there are evil engineers going, "Hey, this will fix everything, but let's put it right."
I mean,
here."
did you see the state of the ship? It's not like they got a good bargain on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, their organization system for all their different tools and cords and stuff like that looks like everybody's junk drawer, just with all the cables and all the USB cords and everything like that. And yet they obviously care so much about the ship. Like, I was going to say that ship is definitely, they got it for pretty cheap, I'm sure. And I'm sure they didn't think about that at the time. Oh, the escape pods. Do they have escape pods? Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, that's all the questions I have about this.
The ship is probably worth more as scrap metal, basically.
I love the fact that you've got this. It looks like someone did their work and then just chucked everything on the floor and ran off.
Like, I'm surprised that the Doctor doesn't lean out of the ship and half of it's being held together by duct tape, you know?
And zippy ties.
Yes. But also, like, they keep talking about the heat shield, right? So normally a heat shield is, like, built into the hull of the ship, but he's hanging on the outside. So is the heat shield like an energy shield or something?
I don't think it's sophisticated enough as a ship.
But then does the escape pod have its own heat shield? Because they don't burn up as soon as they go straight through, you know, like...
So? Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming, like, for the sake of the episode, that everything is protected.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like...
Yeah. As Christian said, they didn't ask any more questions. Just got an escape pod.
I know why they do things for the episode, because it's required.
But I agree, though.
When you think of it,
completely.
When you think of it as a mining ship, just a generic mining ship, it's like, it's super, like, really well built to go close to suns, which you wouldn't really expect it to do all that often.
Well, you know, anyway, we've got an escape pod made out of paper mache. Didn't ask that question. God damn it, we're all in trouble now. You've got to watch Galaxy Quest.
I will.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, I agree.
The Doctor stares into the sun and becomes infected, realizing that the star is alive. He tells Kath that it's all her fault. They scooped out the sun's heart for cheap fuel without scanning for life. Though, to be fair, why would anything be living in a star? In a sun?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, there are some very strange animals that live in the middle of the desert in Australia.
True, but, like, you know, statistically, the sun is not going to have a thing living in it, so...
Well, you know, I think you know everything here. Yes.
I have a question about that. Is it multiple beings that are living inside the sun, or is it... Because, like, we're to assume that they're being infected by the same entity, right? So is it just like the part of the entity that's going into people, or is it multiple entities from the same sun that are going into multiple people? Like, I wasn't clear.
I assumed it was just the one big entity, and then parts of it were entering people.
Okay.
I thought it was the little creatures from Fear Her that all lived in heat. Remember? The one we hate? Fear Her, Chloe drawing the pictures.
Oh, right. I was thinking of the new one. Right, sure. The multiple creatures. I thought you meant the one with the fingers, where they stick the fingers in their ear. No. No, yeah.
Fear Her.
Oh, so you think the sun is made up of, like, little creatures?
Well, they like heat.
Oh God, I know
little
what you're talking
creatures.
About from the
I can't remember what they're called.
The Olympic episode. Yeah, the one with the Olympics that are going to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, those creatures...
Sure.
You know, heat, so maybe suns. I don't question where somebody wants to live. I'm not as judgy as you there, Adam. Someone wants to live in the sun, you know, go at it.
Oh, I assume the sun was a giant, like,
I thought they
massive
were living
creature.
in the sun.
Oh, okay, right. I
don't
didn't
know.
get that because they say that they used the sun's power and they like scooped out the heart of the sun and
And then that creature was in there
sure.
and went, oi, hey, this is my house.
Stop
Hey.
eating me here.
What, you're putting a freeway through here? Yes, so
Okay, all right.
that was my...
I looked it up. It's the Isolus is the name
Oh,
of it.
right, the Isolus, yes.
The Isolus.
Yeah, they love
Christian.
heat. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, true.
Could have
You
been
think
them.
you think it's actually the Isolus?
Well, I thought it was
something similar.
like that,
Sure.
a creature
Like
like
it.
that.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
The heat.
yeah,
the
that
heat,
makes
That makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
Because it seems like the two creatures share information when they're like killing people. So I assumed it was just the one creature.
That is an efficient alien. Like I was going to say, that is a very efficient way to do things. If you can commute, if there's two of you and you can commute to the other one to kill more people, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and they could just be twins.
Well, but also
Twins are very connected.
this is where the Doctor looks at the sun, becomes infected by the sun. So it's like, is everybody who looks up at the sun in this galaxy getting infected by the sun creature, or do the rays? Because it's sending out rays of light to all of the planets.
I tell you what, that makes sense now that they tell us never to look into the sun.
There you go.
We could get infected.
You could get infected. That's the real lesson that we need to pull from this episode.
The problem
with
is, if you
me.
start spreading that rumor, people will actually fucking believe it.
Okay, now, Adam,
I know,
I would
I
just
know.
like to tell you that you have bloody well overthought this thing.
Well, yeah.
Okay, there's a creature, it lives in the sun, it goes into your eyes occasionally.
If I was a
likes
scriptwriter on
helmets.
Doctor Who, if I helped edit scripts and I
You'd be
kept asking these
terrible.
questions, no episode would ever get made. Yeah. They'd be like,
like, I have to
because.
question
And I'd be like,
everything.
but why? Because, why? Because, why?
Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Shut up, get him out of here.
Although, BBC, if you do want me to edit your scripts, I would gladly do that.
Yeah, there'll be like 3 lines left. Hello, goodbye, we're out of here.
The Doctor arrives and then the Doctor leaves. That is just
The
like that's
Doctor-
the whole episode.
But why doesn't the Doctor help? All right, we're not doing this episode at all then.
Yeah, I left everything that's plausible according to me in here. Yes.
The Doctor tells them to take him to the med center and use the stasis pod to freeze the sun's energy out of him. The Doctor is scared and tries to tell Martha about regeneration, but she asks him to believe in her like she believes in him.
The power of friendship wins again every episode.
Yeah, so I don't think he believes in her quite as much as she believes.
A human? I'll never
Wait, I was
believe in a
gonna say,
human.
yeah, it's like, how dare you? Well, it's funny because like the whole believing in the Doctor thing, they like to play with that a lot. Like specifically like the whole, like the end of the series, obviously with the whole big Archangel thing, but also like with Matt Smith in the Labyrinth episode too, with the Minotaur. Like that was another like leading into a belief of the Doctor to the point where, you know, it's the idea of believing in the Doctor as a concept, as something that will, no matter what, it's something that you can count on.
And yet the BBC probably hates that we worship the Doctor like a god, so...
I have to go and do my daily prayers to my idol god, the TARDIS.
Yes, hang on 1 second. Yes, TARDIS. Well, and then what's it called? The fires of Pompeii. Same thing. Those people from
household
Pompeii,
gods.
from Rome. The household gods are Donna and the Dr. Donna. So
Yeah.
you know.
Hey?
The Doctor religion, you have to wear a fez and a bow tie, and you have to like touch
Yes.
the fez and the bow tie whenever you
You're
want to
wearing
pray.
3D glasses too, to really see it all.
I always do that.
All of our eyesight is fucked up.
And when
'cause we
you're
wear 3D
when you're a
glasses all the
female
time.
in the church, you have to go, "What's that, doctor? What's that, doctor? What's that, doctor?" It's a lot of chanting.
Yeah.
I love you.
Meanwhile, Corwin has defrosted and turns off the power to the med center. I mean, just the power to the stasis pod specifically because all the lights and oxygen are still running. Mm-hmm. Kath tries to restore power to the med center using the magical lever, but Corwin stops her. So she takes him on a merry chase to the airlock where she drags her and Corwin out into space.
That's a lovely moment.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that moment. Not that they're
Yeah.
both dying, but
Burn with me? No, you burn with me.
That's right. Burn with me. Whatever. I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like you finally. It's speaking of characters that over the course of the episode that you get to know her. Obviously, her and her husband. Would they pick the ship out together, right? And
Yes.
ask zero questions. They asked zero questions about the escape pods, obviously.
The paper
but yeah,
mache ones.
Yes, the paper mache. Why are these escape pods designed the way they are? No, I think you're right. I think this is a really great moment between the two that you're just like, oh okay, that's in an otherwise horrifying episode. You get this moment of, a nice connection between these two people.
Yeah.
And you really get to know her character.
Sure.
She's, they're the people who are well-intentioned, but things have just gotten out of hand around them, I think. So... yeah, I liked her.
The ship's computer gives a cheery update on the survival estimate projection, 0%. Ooh. Like at that point, you could just don't tell us, all right? That's fine, Riley and Dev make it to the front of the ship with 1 minute left until collision with the sun. Martha tells them to dump the fuel to return the sun particles back to the star. They do so, and the star releases its hold on the ship and the Doctor. With all of the ship's fuel dumped, the engines now turn back on. They fly away, somehow counteracting the gravity of such a vast object as a star with their meager reserves of power.
Well, that was one of the things when they bought it. They said, listen... really good.
This can counteract a star.
Really good reversing thrusters. Yeah.
Everything else is really, really terrible about the ship. But the one thing that you're going to be paying for later on is its ability to just bust out of orbit for just the simplest of reasons.
The only thing that would stop you from getting away from a sun would be if your main engines were down. And I don't envision that happening at all, ever. So.
Now, look, I tell you, this thing, it can reverse 1 billion miles an hour in 3 seconds. You'll love it.
In the vent room, the TARDIS is perfect, almost like they didn't want to scuff it up for a single episode.
Oh, it is. Well, the TARDIS is very hardy.
Yeah, sure.
Hardy, I tell you. And don't whine about the TARDIS, okay? It's perfect.
You could make fun of everything else, but the TARDIS is off limits.
Not the TARDIS.
I love in The Beast Below where it just falls down a little bit and he's like, that's it, the TARDIS is gone, we'll never be able to find it ever again. This episode he's like, that's totally fine, don't worry about it.
Well, then in other episodes he goes, oh, it's all right, I've got a homing beacon for the TARDIS. I go like, wait, what, do you turn it off and on? What happens?
Riley makes a pass at Martha, who rejects him with a kiss.
Ooh,
No, I'm not interested in you, but kind of.
Well, I mean, where's the future for them since she comes from a different time?
Yeah, well, true.
But she still got a snog. I think, I would have had the snog and then left.
Riley says he now believes in Martha the way she believes in the Doctor, though I doubt that the next time Riley is in trouble, Martha will come out of nowhere and save him.
Yeah, no.
Martha will save me? No, she fucking won't.
No, she's one. She's kind of busy right now.
She's home.
Sorry, Riley, you're dead.
Back on the TARDIS, the Doctor gives her own TARDIS key. Aww. Martha calls her mum back to let her know she's all right and promises she might pop round for dinner. On Earth, it's election day in the UK and Saxon's people are eager that everyone votes. They take away Francine's phone for analysis and tell her, thanks for all you're doing, Mrs. Jones. Mr. Saxon will be very grateful as the credits roll.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's the question that I have is how... So because Saxon's there because at the end of the last episode, or not second to last episode, they go back. Yeah, it's just weird how the time, because Saxon's already established himself that point on, so it's just confusing about they're referring to somebody who hasn't. It's just wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
He's basically established himself in the few months before the election to be in a position to be voted as Prime Minister.
Right. Yeah, because when he stole the TARDIS, he took it back to the last time the Doctor had been there. So that would have had to have been when the hospital disappeared, would it? Was that the last time they were
no, the Lazarus thing, and then
before
Blink.
That,
he was also there for Blink.
Oh, yeah.
So, and also, because at the start of Utopia, he goes to recharge the TARDIS, and that's how they pick up Captain Jack. So that's the last time he was in... Well, he was in Cardiff at that time, but
in Cardiff. Yeah, and he was there before... Oh, yeah, the whatchamacallit, the Christmas, the Runaway Bride or whatever was...
So he's been to London a few times.
So he's been there. Yeah, he was there too as well with the Christmas star.
Because he locks it when the Master
and it only gives him a few months,
Yeah.
18 months or something for him to establish himself. So
that's the Master, He gets going with his stuff, gets it all moving along. I love John Sims. I loved him in Life on Mars so much. So I was really...
We have yet to see him yet, but anyway.
Really excited.
The biggest takeaway, obviously, is the ship is not, like you think about it, the ship is not the best of ships. And they clearly, if they're not, as you say, as they're not going to get their ship upgraded or whatever, obviously there's something that might cost money to do that. And they're obviously, not going to do that. You've seen the state of their lockers, the state of their equipment. Yeah, I mean, I could see them not wanting to do things that may or may not cost money,
But it's weird because, like, some of the internal rooms have a temperature of over 3,000 degrees. Meanwhile, the Doctor could just hang out the side and play with a switch. Like it's I don't know. It's inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, the thing the outside switch and all of that. It's it's that stupidity that, look, we've designed this, but if it stalls, you have to crawl out on top of the thing and press that button. You engineers are evil people. We don't get it.
No, I was going to say, like, that is, I don't know what's worse, having a switch outside of something in space where you have to go grab it, or having to find the switch underwater and for some reason a character has like unlimited air supply as they go underneath to switch something up. I don't know. I would say it's a wash between those two.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why you say it's a bad design flaw, because on my car the brake is on top of the roof. So when I'm driving, I have to crawl out the window and then press the brake on the roof. So
yeah, I find if I want to get to the petrol pump, I have to go through a series of guillotine type switches to get there.
Sure.
It's hazardous just filling it up. Ugh.
Yeah, you think the worst thing is the price of petrol. No, it's actually getting to the pump.
That's right. If you ever want to get your spare out of the boot, there's just like a brown snake sitting in there.
As we always do, we like to give the episode a score out of 5. Nicchia, would you like to go first?
Yes, I really enjoyed this, I would have to say. I'm actually going to give it a 4. I had a good time. I had fond memories, but I wasn't sure whether they would hold up. I loved the cinematography. I felt, like Christian said, I felt hot watching it. I felt quite sweaty. Yeah, there are things about it that, aren't completely perfect, but no, edge of my seat, I had a hoot.
All right. Christian?
I came in thinking that I would give it a lower score than I thought I would, but I'd have to concur 4 out of 5 as well, only because, when I'm writing, doing a lot of my stuff, I didn't realize how big of an influence it had on me as a writer, as a creator. And it's definitely, again, the more you think about, the more you watch the episodes, despite the tropes. And as much as I complain about the tropes, there are a lot of them that I quite enjoy. But yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's still, as you say, it sets the tone really well. And as far as like doing a outer space distress call countdown sci-fi horror episode, I think it does the job. So
sure,
yeah.
Well, I'm going to give it 2.5.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Get you out of my sight.
Although, because to me, it's not a memorable episode. Like I literally couldn't. Before I watched this episode, I could not have told you what this episode was about.
Really?
I had no recollection of it. And then when you watch it, it's like, well, we've literally just done this episode. But look, so I was coming into it thinking I was going to hate this episode.
Really?
Absolutely hate this episode. And, it's fine. It's almost a standard episode for me. It's almost a 3, but it's like, wow. I'm still going to not remember much about it afterwards. So, yeah, 2.5.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, and if you think it's a 2.5, that's fine.
Sure.
I think your taste is in your ass, but, there are plenty of episodes that I don't like that you do.
Sure, so. Yeah. I mean, I thought everyone was going to agree with me,
There are different tastes when it comes to Doctor Who. Like, there is something for everybody, and sometimes some episodes don't hit as well as others and vice versa. You know what I mean? So no,
this is a sort of episode where if it was just on, I would just sit and watch it or have it on in the background or something like that. But I don't think I'm ever going to go, I should sit down and watch 42 again.
This episode, right.
I'm not specifically going to watch it.
Yeah, I would watch it again.
Right. Okay. I remember more about The Beast Below, even though that felt like it could have been cut down quite a bit, than I would about 42, which is a 1 episode version of that,
My score would have, again, it's just, I think it's just because it's one of those things where it's in the back of your head, you don't realize how much you've been thinking about it without thinking about it, sort of thing. So that's kind of why I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense why this hit a note with me more so than other. But of course, there's other episodes that a lot of people really love, and I'm just like, I did not care for that episode.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and that's
I
a
know,
good thing
in
is we can all have different opinions about different episodes. of the
Well,
show.
in Jodie's series, there's been 2 episodes that I loathe that you've liked.
Sure.
So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it'd be pretty boring if we all just had the same opinions.
Oh yeah,
so.
agreed.
Well,
yeah.
it would be boring, but you should all agree with me. Now, Christian, I have a question for you.
Alrighty.
Everybody who comes on the podcast, we ask them, if you were from Gallifrey, what would your Time Lord name be? Now, as an example, Adam's Time Lord name is...
The Nerd.
Okay, because he nitpicks everything. and
Yes,
he's a
in case you
nerd.
haven't noticed, yeah.
My Time Lord name, given to me by my family, mind you, is the Commander. So it's either what describes you, what word is your essence, or what do you aspire to be? Because the Doctor is do no harm, the Master is to be, rule the world. My husband asks lots and lots of ridiculous questions. We call him the Inquisitor. So, and what are some of the examples we've had from some of our guests? Give you time to
Beck
think.
Buckingham is the food wanker because she's very particular about her food.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ford is the decent because it's to remind him to always be a decent person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think would describe you? Who would you be?
I mean, that's a great
It's a
question.
tough one.
It is a tough one. That's the kind of the thing when you first asked me, how should I be referred to, writer, producer? And that's kind of my thing where I can't really, I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of different projects and things that some have come to be and some have kind of been sitting in, on the back burner for a while for whatever reason. So something along the lines of somebody who's kind of all over the place, but, still.
The ideas man.
The idea
What'd you
man.
say?
The ideas man.
What's the word for somebody who just comes up with not an idea man, like the one word that comes up that people just like, just the idea machine, something where it's like a one word
Brainstormer.
Yeah.
The brainstormer.
The brainstormer. I like that.
Yeah.
The brainstormer. Fantastic.
All right. So you're the brainstormer, Christian. So we go on an adventure in the TARDIS. We get out, got the commander there. We've got the nerd who's just going to tell everyone what they're doing wrong. I'm going to be running things. The brainstormer's there. What does the brainstormer bring to our adventure, to this dilemma that we have?
I would probably be able to. If we didn't have any idea about where we wanted to go or what we wanted to do, why we were in a certain time period or certain galaxy or certain planet or something like that, I would be the first person to suggest something just crazy and just not like crazy, like let's go commit a bunch of horrible things. No, more like let's do random things. Let's go off and have a weird, fun time. Because I find like myself to be somebody who's just like, we're in like one place, like I want to go and do this. I want to see this one thing for some reason. Like if I hear about a specific like museum or something that's really bizarre or something interesting that could be very educational, I'd be like, let's go there. This makes no sense, but let's go. Let's check it out. So I would be the person to suggest things that we normally wouldn't kind of want to do or think that we wanted to do, and I'd be like, let's do that. This sounds awesome. So.
I like that. And then when we went somewhere and there was a big conflict on, you'd be like brainstorming all these random ideas.
Yeah, I'd be like, all right, let's just go. Let's do
the
things.
baddies wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly. I would be like
Love
2
it.
steps ahead of them, despite.
That's great.
I
The
love that.
brainstormer.
Suddenly the baddies would go, why are they throwing frisbees at us and wearing...
Why
Because
not?
the brainstormer said to us to do that. Yes, with them.
That's
I'm
right.
fine with that. That's a very
That's right.
appropriate name. So
Awesome,
yeah,
the
I dig it.
brainstormer.
Okay, the brainstormer.
Thank you very
Love
much for
it.
joining us, Christian. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having
Yes.
me.
Do you have anything you would like our listeners to check out of yours, or anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah. I have been working. It's been put on hold, unfortunately, given the state of things.
Sure.
However, for the last few years, I've been working on an audio drama podcast called Tales from the Dragon Eye Galaxy. It is a sci-fi podcast radio drama series that it's very retro, very similar to the old Doctor Who episodes, very old Star Trek episodes, a lot of old influences. It's an 8-episode series plus one one-off episode of these. It's just various adventures of characters in the Dragonite Galaxy. It's a space cop and a scientist teaming up together to stop a mad evil despot. Is the first.
Wow,
is the first
cool.
season.
I like that. I'm going to give that a listen.
And then so that's 8 episodes, and then the one-off episode, the Emerald Queen, actually focuses on those two same characters going off and answering a mysterious distress signal.
Ooh.
So the first 8 episodes are all done. The Emerald Queen is done. Yeah, it's been out for a little while, but currently, working on the second season when we can all get back together and record. But yeah, so that's kind of what my thing that I'm working on. So again, sci-fi, old radio drama influences and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very exciting. So yeah, it's all audio. So again, it was just very appropriate that that I wanted to be on the show. So
awesome.
The thing that I know about writers producers is that there's always heaps of things in the pipeline.
Yeah.
It's just you've always got stuff, but you're always relying on someone further down the food chain.
Yeah, and for every script that actually gets produced is like you've probably got like 10, 20, 50 scripts that are you're still working on, basically, that are little notes on your computer.
Twice of that right now. Yeah, the second season is written, and the third season, the ideas are already kind of the third season is mapped out. But yeah, everything, all that stuff, not just the podcast stuff, but everything kind of like my design stuff, my whatever, things that I'm working on, whatever, are all found on my website, sterlingartsanddesign.com, where everything, it's almost like my umbrella, like site of everything that I'm doing. So as much as I would love to have my name be the creator, I think that's a little too Doctor Who, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? I wanted my name to be the wordsmith or
the wordsmith, right.
The funny
No, you got yours
person.
given to you.
I'm the bloody commander. Just a reminder, D4WH is on Facebook, so please give our page a like. Follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, D4WH Pod. You can rate and review us on iTunes, recommend us on Facebook, and follow us on Podbean. We're also now available on Spotify and Stitcher. Tell your friends about us. If you see someone on the street wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt, politely go up and tell them they should listen to our podcast.
All right, thank you very much. Until next time, keep searching the skies for the Doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of The Nerd Infinite. And then the sound of dragons spitting fire and stuff. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
The Doctor Who movie Drunk, which was crazy.
Oh, that movie. I'm trying to convince my wife to watch it. She's like, no. She's like, let me live in this world where I do not know that Eric Roberts was the master. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh
God.
So,
I mean, there's got to be, if you think about the show, though, there's got to be, like, I would say Eric Roberts did pretty well considering the tone of the show, considering the costumes and Eric Roberts. I mean, Eric Roberts is an interesting individual.
Like we did a bit of a history of the movie, and considering what they wanted to do, the fact that the movie is even passable is crazy. Like at the time, people were like, "This is bullshit." But considering that they wanted to completely reboot the show, they wanted to start all the history all over again. They wanted to have Tom Baker come back as the previous Doctor. They wanted such crazy things. The fact that it even sticks so closely to the mythology as it is, it's like insane. It
is, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, Paul McGann got a nice little thing later on, which was nice, with the big, the Big Finish stuff and the Night of the Doctor and everything like that. So it's like, all things considered, it's not. I mean, as far as movies that are trying to up in that point, there hadn't been any attempt, right, to do anything with it. There was like a
nothing, and I'm right. The age group that I was missing it because I started at the Tom Baker era. So when the movie came on, I was young, but I mean, yes, it was shit, but I was just excited that Doctor Who was back on.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the feeling that you have when something has been gone for so long. Mm-hmm. After a while, if something comes back, that's close to what you want. I mean, they threw a lot of things in there that weren't canon. I mean, it's interesting because like they're well, because you're right, because they're trying to reboot everything, right? That was kind of what they were trying to do with it. So new IDs, but
the half human bullshit.
right, yeah, exactly. That stuff. And did you ever see there was this really interesting? I think it was a few years ago. There was a meme, not a meme, but like a series of American actors that people were fan casting in different iterations of the Doctor. Yeah, like Jeff Goldblum as like I think Jeff Goldblum was number 8 or something, and Donald Glover was like 12, no, not 12. He was 11. He was 11, I think. Harrison Ford was the War Doctor. Yeah, it was always really interesting. Like Burgess Meredith was the first Doctor. Stuff like that where they had American actors as I was just like, okay, but that's never going to happen.
Jeff Goldblum could be the Doctor. He's so
Jeff
cool.
Goldblum. Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum would be similar to Tom Baker, where he would just play himself, and they would just be like, they just roll the cameras and be like, "You're an amazing Doctor," and he's like, "I'm not acting.
I'm just being me."
Exactly.